It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 308. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. Hello.
Hi.
So, Big Sur. I don't know if you remember, but that was this weekend.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Huh. No, I'll
Yeah.
just pretend it did not
I am
consume
just
every thought I've had.
wiped. I am so tired.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't understand.
It was a big weekend for you, Tom.
Yeah, it was a lot to do.
You did do a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, you completed it.
I did.
You were worried, as usual, for nothing.
Hey, listen. Okay, for everybody out there, if I had not made myself accountable by telling you that I was doing this, I don't think I would have finished this race.
Yeah, I would agree.
There were blisters. And here's the thing.
Like you had more blister than foot.
I did. And they weren't in the same places as last time. Like those of you who listen, you'll know that I had really bad blisters whenever I did 26.2 miles on my treadmill. And they were on the sides of my feet. This time were underneath my feet, where my feet hit the pavement over and over and over again. And literally the only thing that got me through was Christina Sandifer and Dr. Jenn saying things to me and distracting me. And the reminder that it still didn't hurt as bad as that freaking road rash when the car hit me. So I was just like, okay, this is temporary and it'll be over soon. Also, the first aid guy tried to get me to stop. Like he was like, so...
He didn't say it, but he said it.
I mean, he was like, are you sure you can finish? And I was like, that's not even an option, dude.
It's like the... It was like the EMT equivalent of your wife going, no, it's fine.
It's fine.
Hey, you do what you think is best.
I was like, you better put those Band-Aids on there and let's go.
Yeah.
Because there's no stopping. I will be doing this. So, yeah, it happened. I got through it. And by the way, if anyone's ever thinking about doing Big Sur, let me just tell you, it is a gorgeous course. I know people say that, but seeing it was different.
Yeah, it was great. And I saw it because we drove it afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Tom wasn't out there.
Oh, no. Just, I don't have any other secret announcements for you. I didn't go do Big Sur and not tell anybody, but it was stunning.
And I recommend that if you are going to do this course that you wait until after you've done it and then drive the course, because
it would be demoralizing to see that hill.
That 2 mile hill, it's a monster.
I was winded just from driving it.
Speaking of wind, this in the 30-year history of the race, this was the windiest year because of course it was.
It's 25-mile-an-hour headwinds.
Yeah, it was insane, and I felt every bit of the wind. Dr. Jenn and Christina, I feel bad because I held them back. Like these two ladies could have easily done this way faster than me. Literally came in second to last place in my age group, 57th out of 58 from the 40 to 44-year-olds. By the way, got smoked by an 81-year-old. Her average time over the entire marathon was 11 minutes and 32 seconds. Yes, 81 years old. She is my new hero.
She knew the clock was ticking.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw her pass me too. But so many great people out there. Met people along the way. I was recognized a couple of times. Made some new friends. By the way, I think this was my highest strain ever, 20.4.
Higher than when you got hit by the car?
Well, it stopped that day, so who knows?
Oh,
I don't even know what my strain was that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty rough. Yeah. And I did elevation gain of 1,839 feet, burned 2,000 calories, and walked.
Which we promptly ate.
Yeah. Yes.
For dinner.
Yes. Actually, it wasn't that bad for dinner.
No.
And then
I think you're forgetting the frozen yogurt.
48,000 steps. Honestly, I don't think we did that bad for dinner. I mean, maybe you, but not me. I burned 2,000 calories just walking.
Yeah.
So I was okay with some frozen yogurt for dinner. I mean, I felt I deserved it.
Oh, for sure. You were just saying, I don't know that we ate 2,000 calories. And I was like, we had a big old thing of frozen yogurt.
I still don't think it was 2,000 calories. Well,
okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You had earned it.
I had.
Yeah. So. And then I had also gotten you customized bib boards.
These bib boards were so cool. I was so appreciative because to put these on, you don't have to poke holes in your shirt, given that it is a very nice shirt. It was my just effing do it
Yes.
tank top. I really didn't want to have any holes in that. And Tom was kind enough to get a set for Christina Sandifer and Dr. Jenn. And they were ecstatic.
They were a big hit. I didn't expect them to be that big of a deal. They were super excited. So
he got hugs
nice.
from all three of us.
I did, and I'm not a hugger, but that's how I paid him off for tanking their marathon times for you.
Well, whatever it took. They were so nice to hang with me. They really were. I know they could have done way better than I did. And, yeah. Unfortunately, they are already making plans for the next marathon. And I'm like, can we just, can my feet heal before we make plans? So
No, they cannot. We should also say, while we were there, we had a great meetup.
Oh, yeah. Friday night when we first got there, so many fun people. Elise came. Of course, Christina came. And her husband, Tim, who apparently is your doppelganger. He also does not do Peloton. Tina came. That's hashtag what's up chicken butt. And then we had so many other people. Pat Darling, Tim Shaughnessy. Thank you again for setting all this up, by the way. And his husband, Glenn. Glenn, this is for you, since I never mention your name. And then we also had Jenny showed up, Jenny Davis and her husband, and then Priscilla. And we also had, oh my God, why do I always blank on her name, her leaderboard name? I love her leaderboard name and I always forget it. I'm totally blanking. I'm the worst. Sharks Girl was also there. So we had a lot of fun, a lot of great people. And boy, the nachos are good if you ever get to eat at the Brit in San Jose. What a beautiful area. That whole area was really beautiful.
Yeah, that was good food.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, anyway, thanks for everybody who had so much support for you. It was nice to see.
It
and
was.
Congrats to you for doing it.
Thank you.
Especially in light of the car accident.
I just have to say, because I know some people will want to know this, other people will roll their eyes, and I don't care. But I definitely shed some tears. Shed some tears.
Shat. You shat some tears. That's the proper conjugation.
I don't think that's it.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I don't think that's right.
But go on.
As I crossed the finish line, and Dr. Jenn and Christina gave me a hug, and I was just so grateful to be alive. And I think it was Dr. Jenn that said, "We're so glad you're still here." And I just started bawling. I lost it. I just completely lost it. I don't think there will ever be an event that will mean as much as this particular event did. And that's why I wanted to wear the shirt, just do it, because it felt like it was appropriate.
Well, if there's never going to be an event that will mean this much, I'm glad we've already gotten married.
I meant a running event, Tom.
See,
oh my God.
I do, but it's still not as good as that time I finished Big Sur.
That's not what I was saying.
This is a marathon of a different sort.
I'm
You're
feeling,
like, yes,
I'm feeling every mile today.
Yes, you are. So, what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
Well, I don't know, because all I can see is this picture. Let's see. Well, we're going to have an update on the earnings call.
Okay.
We haven't recorded it yet because it will be tomorrow morning.
Yes.
And as soon as that happens, we'll record it. Then we're going to be talking about all the changes. There's been anniversaries this week. There's been things rolling out. There's been a lot of stuff going on for Mother's Day. So when we get to that part, if that's triggering to you, please fast forward. We've got lawsuit updates. We've got lots of instructor in the news updates, lots of podcasts for the instructors. So you'll want to listen to that so you can hear all of your favorite instructors. We also have a visit from Angelo. We're going to talk about what is the best way to eat after a workout, competitor news, and we have a visit from Dr. Jenn this week, and we talk about striking a balance between have to and want to.
Okay. And, also the interview this week is Dr. Mark Shapiro.
Oh.
And we should apologize to him.
Dr. Shapiro, I'm so sorry.
So in our defense, and by our, I mean your, because you're the one that does all the things, but he was our first interview after the accident.
Yeah. So when you see this, by the way, I'll still have all kinds of bruising.
And so we recorded it, and there was a moment where we thought we'd still be able to do it. Like it was supposed to be on the Thursday after the accident. Yeah. And you were foolish enough. We were both foolish enough to think, well, maybe.
Yeah.
And then we asked to push it. And luckily he was a doctor and he was like, I kind of figured you would.
Yeah. He was like, of course you need to push it.
I was surprised I hadn't gotten this call yet. So anyway, then after that, it fell through the cracks.
I don't even know what happened.
And he was kind enough to reach out and nudge us and be like, hey, remember that time we talked for 40 minutes?
And guys, the thing about this is, like, I loved this interview so much. I honestly thought it had already posted because I enjoyed it so much. This interview is so fun. Dr. Shapiro is a blast.
Yes.
Like I want Dr. Shapiro to be my doctor because he's so fun. Move to Missouri, Dr. Shapiro.
Yes. And then let us know what your specialty is so we can get that disease.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But so anyway, apologies to him, and thank you for reminding us. And definitely check out his interview because it's a good one. So, and shameless plugs before we move on. Don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find a podcast. You can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That's always helpful and appreciated. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Don't forget our YouTube page, youtube.com/theclipout. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/theclipout, where you can get ad-free episodes. We put out the Mark Shapiro interview there like 3 weeks ago. No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
But when we get an episode early, you will get it early. So a lot of times you get them on Thursday afternoons. If that's important to you, you get that as well. And you get all sorts of bonus content. We've been going through the timeline year by year. I believe this week is 2021.
Well, I never posted 2020 until today. So
Gotcha.
We'll see if 2021 makes it out on Friday.
But it's in your not too distant future.
Yes.
Just like Deep 13. So,
much like Dr. Shapiro's interview.
Yes. So, and you can also sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Peloton stock ticker.
So we just got done listening to the earnings call, and Crystal's better at listening than I am.
By listening, Tom means he was doing other things.
Just playing Best Fiends.
But he was in the room, so that counts.
Sure.
Here's the deal. We said last quarter, when we've said it several times, I feel like we have reached a turning point, and I feel like this quarter summed that up. I think we were right. So one of the things that came out in the letter that I want to make sure that we touch on, because we did not touch on this in the news since it happened this morning, is a settlement and patent license agreement has been reached with Dish Technologies. The cost of that settlement is going to be $75 million plus some other expenses. That's going to come out of Q4, and that's going to affect the free cash flow in Q4. So that is going to affect Q4 negatively, but they felt that that was more important to do rather than prolong it. They felt like they could have prolonged it, could have had a different outcome, but they wanted to get it done and move on. I say yay.
Yeah, I think it's good to clear things off their plate. Like we've been talking about, the lawsuits have been falling by the wayside left and right lately. And I think they probably just figured by the amount of money they spent fighting it, it wasn't the cost differential wasn't worth it.
Not to mention, as they point out in the letter, the distraction to the day-to-day operation of the business. And I agree with that. Since they have started knocking these lawsuits out one by one, you can tell as a group they have been very laser focused on growing the profitability. And specifically, they have been really focused on getting to that break-even point, which, according to them today, Liz says we are within striking distance of that. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I also can't help but wonder if they have some new technology that will mean that they won't need the Dish Network technology. So they're like, yeah, pay them what we need as a stopgap, and then we'll roll out our own stuff, and we're good now.
I think that's a fair question. That's a fair question. Yeah. And there was a lot of stuff that came out today in the letter that was really exciting. So just to touch on a few things. One, they're going to be doing a complete relaunch of the marketing, like a brand relaunch. And that is going to be happening soon. Very, very excited about that. Two, we are going to be seeing that launch, that rebranding, that relaunch of the app. That's going to be happening. They said the time is now. We know that we know from the call for sure it is not going to affect any of the hardware costs. So if you have hardware and you have the all access, you have the all access, period, across the board. And don't even get me started on the row. They didn't address it. That's not what I'm talking about. Two, they said that there will be a tiered membership approach, which they had already said. That's new.
Yeah.
That's not new information. But what they did say is you're going to have different options, different opportunities. If all you're doing is joining the app, you're going to be able to choose what kind of cost you want to put in, and that's going to give you a different experience. You're going to have different ways to interact with the app based on how much you want to pay. So those are two hugely exciting things that came out of the letter. As far as the call today, some things that I think that we should point to is that one of the things I found absolutely fascinating is they talked about how they are primarily known as a bike company, but that the behaviors of people say that they are well beyond that. It was something like 57% of people.
56 or 57, yeah.
They're not even, they're using the app not even with the bike. Like they might be using the rower, they might be using strength, whatever, but they're not necessarily using the bike. And so that's great because I want people to know they're not just a bike company. And this marketing relaunch, this brand relaunch we're going to see, you're going to be seeing that. They're really going to be pushing their other offerings. So that's exciting because I've been saying to people for a long time, they're not just a bike company.
Yeah.
So finally.
And I feel like Barry addressed something towards the end of the call that we've been saying for a long time, which is that people, they come to Peloton for the bike, they stay for the content, the instructors. Like that's what people want from the brand more than anything. Yeah,
they talked a lot about how they expect for the app to grow and has been growing faster than what the hardware is and what it has been. So we're going to be seeing a lot of people join Peloton that are going to be from the app side of things. They're not necessarily going to have hardware. That's already been happening, but they expect it to happen even more in the future. And the question that Tom's answer is what he's talking about is when somebody asked about like, well, how are you going to continue to show you like differentiated yourself by being that bike company, by being you started Connected Fitness. How are you going to differentiate in the app? And Barry's answer, which felt very strong, was it's the content. That's the magic. And it is the content. And he referred to us users. And anybody listening to this, I think, counts because we are the people bothering to make and listen to a podcast about it. He said, with near religious fervor, really cracked me up. So I thought that was all very interesting. And let's see, they said that they really haven't been spending very much on marketing for the FAFs, so fitness as a service. So they will probably continue to do that as well. Remember, next quarter, Q4 is always the one that's going to be the hardest. Always has been, always will. So they're expecting the Connected Fitness subs to be down. They're expecting churn to be highest. And they are also saying that they're really focused on not overspending and and really focusing on getting profitable subscribers. So making sure they have quality subscribers. I really liked hearing that. Also, they said that they were very optimistic about the rebranding and the app launch, but they have not included that optimism in the guidance for Q4 at all. So it might even be better, than what they're seeing.
Also, they talked briefly about the refurbished bikes and how well they're doing, especially considering that they're not really pushing it. Like people are coming across that organically, which I would think kind of indicates that there's an organic demand for Peloton, but people that maybe don't necessarily have the means to buy a full price bike that are on the hunt for ways to get less expensive bikes. And Peloton's there with refurbished stuff, which I think is also smart because you'd rather sell them a refurbished bike and make some money than have them go to the secondary market and make no money. I
thought it was interesting, too, that in the shareholder letter, they referred to the fact that a big chunk of new subscribers has come from old bikes being sold by members that not like eBay. Like they used eBay as an example. I thought that was super interesting.
33,500, which I don't remember the time frame, but to me that's a little distressing because on the one hand you're saying you've had that many people leave the platform. On the flip side, that's assuming they didn't upgrade bikes. Right, or,
exactly.
But I would think by and large, it's probably people leaving the platform. But you're instantly replacing them, but you're not selling hardware to them directly, which I think is really shows the importance of the refurbished program, right? Because then they can at least recoup that money on their own hardware. And I would think as a user, if I can buy a used Peloton, I'm making up numbers. If I can buy a used Peloton for $800, but I can buy a refurbished one for $1,000 directly from Peloton, and I know it's got some sort of warranty, I'm going to go with the refurbished product.
I mean, I would too.
Every time.
Absolutely. I thought some other interesting things to make sure that we mention is they talked about what are you expecting to see this year? Somebody asked that question, where do you think the growth is going to come from? They said commercial and corporate wellness, those both have good momentum. Third party, starting to see that. Business to business, they said there's a lot to learn there, but there's signs of life. International, they said there's opportunities for growth. They said that there had been new hardware this year. They talked about how aware people are of the different types of hardware that we have. So the rower is only at 4%. Guide is only at 1%. The app is at 5%. But the interesting thing is that the app net promoter score is 20% higher than the bike. Isn't that fascinating?
So fewer people are aware of it, but the people that are really like it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they said, so imagine what can happen if people actually know that it exists.
Yeah.
Also keep in mind, this will be the first full year of the Row. They haven't even marketed it really.
Right.
And they said that most of the people that have bought it have been existing subscribers, which we knew.
Because it's a value proposition, right? You don't have to pay anything extra for the monthly subscription. You just have the cost of the rower, which is not insignificant to be sure, but I do think there's people that love Peloton. I think the rower got sold to a lot of people who have never even thought about rowing, like you, and until Peloton had one, and they're like, okay, let's add it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to make sure everyone's paying attention. Is everyone listening out there? Are you really listening to me?
Me? What?
Everyone, a second treadmill product coming probably this year. They don't control timing, but they have invested a lot in the relationship with the CPSC. That is incredibly exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that means that Tread Plus might be coming back this year, this fiscal year, guys, this fiscal year. So in the next 12 months. Okay. They also, this was something I did not realize that Jenn Cotter and her team are over accessories and apparel now. I did not realize that. Want to point out that Barry was excited about something coming with apparel. He said something new is coming there, very exciting things, and they are not sharing what they are just yet. So I was super excited about that. Also, when it comes to connected fitness, there's been a lot of questions and a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about putting out their rumors because they see stuff as they scrape Peloton's website and assume that they know what they're talking about. They're going to be able to make a la carte choices when they have the bike or they have any kind of hardware. Not true. Barry said, no, it's going to be all access. Nothing is changing there. I know I mentioned that a little bit earlier, but I just wanted to clear up. There's no a la carte coming with that. Hospitality, he really didn't want to talk about very much, but he did say that it's going to continue because it's profitable in its own right and it's a good source of growth. One of the other things I wanted to make sure that we talked about, he was talking about some very exciting things. He wouldn't say what it was, but he did say that there is something coming soon, and it sounded like it was some kind of international kind of thing, potentially, but it was going to be co-branded. So something we're going to be seeing in the next couple of quarters that will be co-branded. They've never done this before. So he sounded very excited about that. So can't wait to see what that's going to be.
Yeah.
Also, I thought it was interesting that Barry was like, yeah, we need to improve our rowing content. And he's like, that's not due to research. That's just me as a user. I was like, oh,
yeah,
that's interesting. Another interesting thing. He talked about how engagement is up with people who have all access. And that he said, but you got to make it easy to find. The engineering team will continue to work on making that personalization happen. But get this, guys, Lane Break has off the charts engagement. And I found this fascinating, more male users and much younger. And he said same with Power Zone. So they're going to really lean into that personalization. So if you are male and you are younger, you're going to be getting a lot of opportunities to be, I think you're going to be served Lane Break.
Well, and I don't think that's surprising at all to me. Like, I mean, it's a video game, and video games are more popular with young males, so it makes total sense that would resonate with that demo. And also, they made a comment about their new marketing campaign will be targeting a younger demo.
They did. And they said, as far as like what they've seen so far with people who've been added as subs that don't necessarily have hardware, they said that it hasn't been very different than what they've seen in the past. I found it interesting that it was more professional females who see the advantage of being able to have a lot of variety and just flexibility, which makes sense.
For sure.
Absolutely. But I just thought it was interesting that it was females.
Yeah.
I think that is it. I mean, I felt like this was a very exciting quarter. I felt like this was the most exciting call that I've listened to since Barry has been in charge. And I just really feel like they're in a good place. They're really starting to get momentum and everybody seems very, very positive.
Yeah. And I also felt like the questions this time were like more legitimate information seeking questions and not like, we think you're a dip. Could you expand?
Yeah. There was a lot less. Can you expand? And a lot more like people just accepted what was in the shareholders letter. I think that's the first time that's occurred too.
Yeah. The questions seemed a lot less adversarial than they have over the last few calls.
Yeah. Everybody seemed more relaxed on this call, both presenters and people asking questions. I'm still chuckling over that one lady that asked a question and Liz Cotter was like, or Coddington was like, huh?
It was funny because when she asked the question, you were like, what is she? I don't understand what she's asking. And then Liz was instantly like, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? But in people?
Yeah, it was funny. That was funny. Overall, I think this is all really great. I'm really excited. I can't wait to see what. They also talked about new content. They're going to continue to release new content types. So we're going to continue to see new things coming out on the app and new types of content. I'm really excited about that. So I'm also like, I can't keep up as it is, but keep it coming. Keep it
For
coming.
Sure. I think that's going to be the real differentiator as other companies try to carve off a slice of their pie. Is just there's so much content in the Peloton ecosystem that you're just not going to get elsewhere. And I don't know that anybody's even approximating things like lane break.
No.
I mean, they're already ahead of the game there.
There are some companies that are doing gaming, but they don't do the rest of what Peloton does.
Right.
So yes,
it's like that's all you would get. Yeah. So I just think that, as people decide to go down this fitness rabbit hole and they're weighing apps, I think even people that get a little snarky about Peloton because it's so established that that there's the backlash, I think when they start comparing it as a value proposition, they're going to look at it and go, well, I mean, it's not even a close call.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with that. And I feel like, I don't know, there's just a lot to be excited about. Like, I'm curious to see what the new marketing campaign is like. I'm curious to see what the new app offerings are going to be. And as soon as we get any word on any of that and we're able to share, because sometimes they're like, hey, here's what's going on, but we can't talk about it yet. We will definitely be sharing that. So I'm super, super excited to see. It's the first time I've been excited about new offerings in a while. So yay. I love being excited about Peloton.
And I love it when you're excited. But but yeah, it was a good call. It's nice to see that it does seem to be righting the ship.
There was one thing I was super, super disappointed about, though, across the board. None of the questions, not Barry, not Liz, not one person referred to today as May 4th. Not one. There were no Star Wars puns. I was a little disappointed. Tom, do you have one?
Oh man, wait, I'm half asleep.
I know. I was just trying. So something about the Force being with us today, because it was a good call.
Yes, absolutely. So I guess there's your earnings call recap, and we will now return you to your regularly scheduled clip out, already in progress.
Peloton in the news.
Post-class recommendations are beginning to roll out for iOS users on the app.
They are. And I think they might just be testing this for now because it's not everybody. And
Right.
it doesn't seem to be like, it seems to be like here and there. It's a little spotty.
Gotcha.
It is for iOS only. And once it's out there, it shows you like different classes that would match well with the classes that you are already taking.
So if you got a little bit more juice in the tank, it's giving you something that's not like another 60-minute power zone class, but it's like, here's a quick.
Well, and it's also on the app. The interesting thing about that is like we've been seeing stuff similar to this on the bike and on the tread, but this is showing up specifically on the app. That part is new. So if you're doing something that's just app only, it's nice because it encourages you to keep going as well. And it kind of reduces taps, the amount of taps that you need to do if
Gotcha.
you are looking for a new class.
I see.
Yeah.
Do they, do you think maybe they do this already? And I don't know, but, cause why would I?
Sure.
But
Why indeed?
But do you think it has a thing baked into where it knows what other equipment you have? So it could be like, hey, person who just finished a bike class, we know you own a rower. Here's a quick 10-minute row you could do.
Well, since it's on the app, I don't think that's what it's trying to do.
That makes sense. But for the other ones?
If it's on the app, I kind of think they're banking on you don't have equipment.
Sure. Yeah.
But having said that, if you're using it at a gym, you kind of have access to all the things.
Right.
So I'm not really sure. I know that Peloton has said before, since Barry has taken over and they've been doubling down on the user experience, like getting more specific with the things you do and you take, like making it more like Netflix. So
yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. This feels very Netflix-like in terms of like, here, try the next thing. But I guess you also have to be careful because, if you watch 10 shows in a row, well, you just wasted a day. But if you do 10 workouts in a row, that's probably too many.
That is true. And who knows what they'll decide to do with that. But I do agree. However, I think that this is a step in that direction of trying to make it more personalized. I feel like it's kind of laying the groundwork for something else bigger that they're working on.
That makes sense.
Just a hunch.
The Peloton Tread is celebrating 5 years of existence.
5 years.
You can't call it a birthday. I would feel bad for whoever had to give birth to that. Hopefully it was a cesarean because, oof.
Well, last I checked, people don't give birth to machines.
Now
but
that would be a workout.
I just am so excited to see these pictures. Like, it really brings back the nostalgia. Also, wow, 5 years since we've known these tread instructors. Oh, and Christopher Street Studio. Oh, I miss the days. Look at those baby faces and all those instructors. It's only been 5 years, but it's interesting to go back and look at their pictures side by side. It's just very interesting.
Yeah, I feel like Maddie looks very young, and it's not like he looks old now, but he just looks...
He has more of a baby face, though.
For sure.
Yeah, they all do. They
Yeah.
all do. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Lots of Mother's Day stuff going on.
So this is your chance to back away, turn it off if you don't want to hear it. But lots of stuff going on.
So they're having a Peloton, a Mother's Day event, the Magic of Motherhood.
Yes, and it is going to be featuring Jess King, not Jess Sims, and also Robin Arzon. Why do I say that? Because the first email that went out accidentally said Jess Sims, and there was lots of confusion around that since Jess Sims is not yet a mom.
Surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, right? And there's also been a little kerfluffle over, both of the moms that are featured here are moms that are recent, and they
Very
are
new to motherhood.
Yeah, they got little ones at home. So there's some people that are theorizing, well, this is probably kind of to reach out to moms who are younger or just starting out. And then there's other people that feel like, oh, it would have been nice, or maybe they still will have an event that might be towards older kids, and have some of the moms who are on the staff that are older.
Different phases of motherhood.
Exactly. Because being a mom can encompass a lot of things. I will tell you from my own experience, because I'm old, the difference between caring for an infant and a 16-year-old is awful, and it's the same, but it's very different. They require constant attention in a very different way.
Yeah.
And now they can tell you exactly what they want and argue with you, unlike when they're an infant.
See, when they're babies, they can't tell you what they want.
Mm-hmm.
When they're teenagers, they can, but won't.
Yeah, or they'll argue with you about nothing, and everything is... Oh, so dramatic.
Yeah.
So dramatic.
But unlike babies, you can shake teenagers.
No,
don't.
No. But in all seriousness, being a mom, being a parent, because regardless of what gender you are or how you parent, you are one, if you have children, and there's a lot of ways to do that. And it's a journey. So hopefully we will see some more events that encompass some other phases of life.
Peloton Apparel is also celebrating Mother's Day.
Yes, all the moms who had babies this year were featured in a video for Peloton Apparel. And we had a few that had, now see this one, they did include some other kinds of moms, like Callie being a dog mom, and Jen Sherman and Kristen McGee with their older kids, and some other instructors who have dogs. They included them as well. And of course, the cat moms. Can't forget the cat moms. So it's a cute video. It always makes me happy to see all the babies and the animals. I love the animals.
And final Mother's Day story, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah.
So
they are looking for mother and child stories, they being Peloton, because that's what the show's about.
Right.
Yeah.
They're looking for a special Peloton story between a Peloton mom and child. Stay tuned for a special Mother's Day Instagram campaign featuring your story. You can submit anything ranging from shouting out your Peloton mom and child, sharing how Peloton has brought you together, or a memorable Peloton experience you had together. Deadline May 5th.
So get on it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who let's see. I think it's Jen Ely and her daughter Caroline. I bet they submit for this because they are the mom-daughter team that I think of when I think of this, because they have been doing that for a long time. And I'll tell you another one, Melissa Holt and her mom also, they both were They've both been doing Peloton with their
Yeah.
kids for a long time.
And there was the lady we just interviewed a couple weeks ago with her daughter.
Ah, Trisha.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'd be good for this.
They would. So many good stories. I can't wait to see what they come up with.
So there's a guy named Dr. JumpRope. I'm going to go out on a limb and say not his birth name.
I would say that is probably true.
He is a 5-time cancer survivor and has had both hips replaced, and he's attempting to set a Guinness World Record on a Peloton bike.
I think he already set a Guinness Book World Record for the number of times he has survived cancer. Like,
For real?
No, I don't know.
I don't know. I
He
mean, I don't
should
know.
have-
Like,
I have no idea how
it's
many
a
times.
lot. Not trying to take that away. I would
No,
just
I
assume
know.
that there's probably some poor bastard who's done it, had more.
I've never heard of 5 times.
Yeah,
like,
for
really?
sure.
Like, you think that there's some? I mean, first of all, I hope not. I hope somebody has not had to endure that. But man, he just keeps going. So here's the deal. What he's going to do is 100 miles at the maximum resistance of 100
Yikes.
on his Peloton bike.
Oof.
Yeah. I'm curious if he's doing this with a regular bike or a Bike Plus, not to be rude to
throw
Dr.
shade.
JumpRope, okay? But you can jack a bike pretty easily.
Well, and not even to say that he's jacked a bike, but he might have some bikes are easier than others. He might not even realize it.
Exactly. So he is titling this the Max 100 Peloton rides. Either way, very cool that he is doing it. And I wish him nothing but luck. I can't wait to hear more details because I'd like to hear little things like that. You know, I'm always curious about that kind of stuff. So good luck. Good luck to Dr. JumpRope. I hope it goes well.
You think he's a medical doctor, or you think that's like a PhD?
I think his JumpRope gave him a PhD. I don't know. I don't know how he came up with that.
Peloton in court.
You might remember a while back, there's so many Peloton lawsuits to keep track of, so maybe you won't. They should have them be like trading cards. Collect them all and trade with your friends.
Well, this one's pretty old, too.
This one has been around for a while. I feel like, not counting the music-based lawsuits, this is one of the oldest
It
ones.
is. It is. Agreed.
And so Peloton was getting sued over using the phrase ever-growing library because they purged all the classes because of the music lawsuits, and then immediately started building it back up.
Now, this is back in 2018 for people who are thinking like recent purge
No.
started in 2020. This is old stuff.
Yes.
Old stuff.
They had purged all the black and white classes. That's how long ago this was. And
it was the largest purge ever in Peloton's history.
Yeah, and people, like, you think people lose their minds now. Oh, please.
Y'all, it was gray days.
Yes.
It was ugly.
And so they were sued for that because you said ever growing, and for like a 3-week window, it wasn't ever growing because you pulled some classes. And a judge has thrown that suit out.
Yeah. He just shut it down.
Yeah, I skimmed the article. I didn't get a chance to really focus on it because I've been super busy today. But from what it sounds like, they were saying that all of the complaints were very individualized, that there wasn't like a large group of people who all had the same complaint. It was a lot of people complaining about different aspects where they were just like, well, that's more of an inconvenience than...
Well, and so therefore they couldn't be a class action lawsuit.
Right.
So they lost
Can't
their
bundle
class.
them.
They lost their class status. So the whole suit is thrown out. Doesn't mean it can't come back, right? Because they could reformat it somehow.
Right.
But the way it currently stands, they have lost their class status. So they out. Which I always thought this one should be thrown out. It was
this
kind
one
of ridiculous.
Yeah, like what's the
Puffery.
There's a legal term called puffery, which is like
Not poppery.
yeah, which is essentially businesses are going to make claims that are puffed up.
Yeah.
And so you
For
have
commercial
to
purposes.
you have to decide when it is a lie, i.e. this will cure cancer. That's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Or versus this is the best soda in the world. Well, that's puffery and subjective, and you can't really sue for that, right?
Yes, but when they said it was a puffery, they did get shut down for that.
Yeah.
Peloton lost that piece of it,
I don't think they should have,
but they did.
but they did. But
I guess ever growing can be measured. That was their theory.
Yeah, I mean, it's quantifiable, but it's like,
It was just a weird set of circumstances,
especially because I don't think anyone can argue about the commitment to creation of content that Peloton has.
Mm-hmm.
And so just because they had to take a step backwards to take 45 step forward, it was, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And coming up after this, we're going to talk to Dr. Jenn. She's going to help you strike a balance between having to and wanting to. So stick around.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jenn.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jenn Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. She also has a wonderful app you should check out called No More Diets. It's Dr. Jenn. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I have actually, it's 2 questions, but they're kind of the same, but they're coming from 2 different directions. Okay. So one is from Julia Furtado Lavoy, and she says she feels like the biggest struggle she experiences this time of year is the myriad of parties and invitations that crop up everywhere, cutting into her time. And it's hard to balance weddings, birthdays, travel, etc. But then you have another one from Donna McKillop Kosola, and she says trying to fit in everything that she wants to do: bike, tennis, pickleball, strength training, prioritizing. They feel like the same thing, right?
Yeah. I get this. And I think that, one thing we've learned from the last 3+ years is that life is too short. And I think that it's really important that we prioritize the things that are important to us. And that, this kind of comes back to a theme we've talked about recently, which is the shoulds.
Yes.
And I think that it's important to evaluate how many of these weddings do you really want to go to? How many of them will you actually be able to connect with the bride and groom and have a fun time? How many of these events are things you really care about? How many of these are things that will be memories that you think about beyond that day? And I think that it's important to really look at what are your priorities, what's consistent with your priorities, what is meaningful and what is not, and what are you doing to please other people as opposed to because it's really important to you. And I think sometimes we have to spend some time being mindful and cleaning house and kind of going like, hey, this is someone who I've been friends with. We have different values. We have different philosophies. Maybe this person isn't that important to me anymore, but I haven't really thought about it and I haven't really reevaluated. And so I think that we want to also really kind of look at kind of the different categories of like, time with friends, exercise, milestone events, travel, and kind of look at, okay, of those things, am I doing the categories that are most important to me? And am I finding balance? If each is a piece of the pie, making sure you've got a piece of each pie or one piece of each of that pie. So to find that balance.
I think that's really important. I think you're absolutely right. I like that. And I think it's it reminds me of an Alanis Morissette song. There was this one line that's always stuck with me. That it's
about
always,
the theater? Mm-hmm.
No, Tom.
Damn it.
We are on very different pages right now. That it's so. Why is it so hard? Why is it so easy to get stuck and so hard to stay unstuck or something like that, and not the other way around? And I feel like being mindful is such a easy thing to say, and it's so hard to do because of our patterns, our habits.
Totally. And we tend to go on autopilot.
Yeah.
And I think that the world is very conducive to autopilot. It's not super conducive to like checking in with ourselves and being mindful and kind of looking at kind of where we are and taking our own temperature, emotionally speaking.
I think the human brain is conducive to that.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times you drive to work and if somebody asked you about your drive, you'd have no recollection of it.
Totally. I think it's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a really great point.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all that. Until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on all social media at Dr. Jenn Mann, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Mann. I post my Peloton workouts. And of course, you can find me here on the Clip app.
Yay!
Instructors in the news.
We have a new tread instructor. Not a new instructor, but an instructor who you've seen before that's now a tread instructor.
Mariana Fernandez. I've been hoping for this for a while. There have been hints, but it is actually happening. And I'm so excited that she is going to be doing this. What a perfect combination between running and yoga. Love her running for yoga classes and programs, and I am super excited that she's going to be joining the tread lineup. And her premiere run is tomorrow night, May 4th, 7 p.m. Eastern. So by the time you hear this, if you haven't already taken it, you need to hop on the tread and make sure you take it right away. Welcome, Mariana.
Emma Lovewell is making the rounds to support her new book, and she was on CBS News this morning.
She sure was. And they have like a 5-minute clip so you can check it out. She talks about Peloton, her book, and just, lots of little details. I think that you're probably going to be hearing stuff you've already heard. There was nothing that was like, oh my God, new information you must know. But we are very happy for Emma. Her book officially launched this week, and now is the time to order it if you haven't already.
Absolutely. And she was also featured in Elle Magazine.
Yes. Learning to date yourself, not like how old you are.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like I date myself every day.
Oh, you do with your old timey references.
Yes.
Faux show.
Remember when you had to put it on Channel 3 to play video games?
Remember when you had to go change the channel for your dad?
Or had to go downstairs to get beer?
Yes.
And also, while we're talking about Emma, she is now a sponsor of Michiru.
Well, they're her sponsor.
They're her sponsor?
Yeah, and it's hair care, if you're wondering. Japanese-inspired ingredients like rice protein, sakura flower, citrus, yuzu, and silk powder.
Gotcha.
But you can you can get these products at Target. So, cool.
Hair care is such an important part of my life.
I know. You're so funny.
So Becs Gentry ran in a marathon over the weekend. Women run the world.
It was a half marathon.
Half marathon. Oh.
I love when you try to figure out what the hell my notes mean.
Yes.
It's so funny. And she came in second at the Shape and Health Women's Half Marathon. She really is an incredible runner. Don't forget, she just had a freaking child, and she just got back to work. And she's like, oh, that was easy. Let me just go ahead and almost run this race I barely trained for.
She gave birth during the marathon.
It's a half marathon.
At mile 9, she was just like, done, kept running. She put the baby with the gear bag, and she picked it up at the end. They got a system for it. It's crazy.
They don't.
Everything I just said was 100% true.
Congrats to Becs. I mean, seriously, what an accomplishment. That's incredible.
And apologies to all the runners who slipped in the placenta.
Ew, Tom. Oh my God. Gross.
Except for Ed Kowalczyk.
Ew.
Speaking of running, I'm not even going to say what kind of run it was because I'm going to be wrong.
Pretty sure this was a half marathon.
He did a 5K.
No. Jeffrey McEachern also ran. Again, I think it was a half marathon. And he was very happy to get his medal. Did a great job out there. Didn't come in second place, but he kicked ass nonetheless.
And finally, for our running portion, Susie Chan did... What was it called? The
Badwater.
There it is. So awful.
It's 81 miles of running through the desert, into the mountains, and the night. So you have to understand, you start in the desert and then you go up through the mountains with 1,000 feet of elevation into the mountains. So the weather changes, the elevation changes. It's all insane.
9,000 feet.
Yeah. Here's the deal. Not only was she worried about finishing this, she finished it, and get this, she finished in the freaking top 10.
That's crazy. This is the one she had to be invited to, correct?
Yes, This was invite only.
Yeah.
Also, next week, we will be talking to Laura Watts, who also ran this race and had finished Badwater before. So apparently there's like 3 in this series, and this was Susie's second of 3. So she will be getting a mega medallion when she does number 3. And I say when because she will. She
so
will.
There'll be worse water. Worse water.
Baddest water.
Yes. She was also on the Runner's World podcast.
Runner's World UK.
Sorry. My
Well,
apologies.
I only say that because there is a Runner's World in the U.S. podcast, and I just want to make sure because they're magazines, so they're 2 separate podcasts.
I see.
So yeah, and I love this subject. I haven't gotten to listen yet, but how to make treadmill running fun? Make Susie Chan do it. Make her teach it, and it's fun. It's the best ever. So yeah, it's real simple.
Cody Rigsby will be taking part in PopSugar's Playground. I don't know what that is, but it's an event, and there are still tickets available.
Friday, June 2nd in Los Angeles. All right, cool.
So hop to it.
Yeah.
Bradley Rose was on the Marketing Unfiltered podcast, talking about his stroke and dealing with criticism.
And you need to know that it's his wife interviewing him because it's his wife's podcast. Just making sure you knew that.
I did not know that. I saw that it says tea with my husband, but I thought it was somebody like being cute. You know, like when all the ladies are like, "Ooh, he's my husband."
Yeah.
Because they like him so much.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that they were actually betrothed.
Yes, they are.
Well,
That's why I wanted to make sure you knew that.
Yes. Someone needs to explain things to me.
I know.
That's what you're here for.
It is.
Christine D'Ercole spoke at the Heart of Florida United Way's 16th annual Women United Luncheon.
Phew, you got all that out. I'm
Well,
impressed.
luckily it was written in the post. So thank you, Christine, for doing that. See, she makes things easy on me.
And she also spoke about mental fitness, which is a great topic, especially as we enter, what is this, Mental Health Month?
Mental Health Awareness Month?
That's the one.
Yes.
So, and she's always talking about this. It's great info. Great info.
And Robin was at the BTIG Commissions for Charity Day event thing. I don't know what that is.
Don't know.
But
I
it
just
must be
know
a big deal because Bill Clinton is there.
Yeah, she got to meet lots of people. Robin Roberts, Yankees manager Aaron Boone, a whole bunch of influential figures. And the part that I thought was cool personally is that she was excited to share that Paderistas is one of the beneficiaries of the exceptional event. So they raise money and then they give it to charities, and Paderistas was one of them. So that's cool.
She also had a post explaining swagger points, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I started off really trying to be positive about this whole thing. I made that clear. I wanted to learn about it. I wanted to share it with you. At this point, I kind of just don't care. I'm really done. But if you do care, here's the deal. You can get some points by buying a bunch of shit, and then you get points, and then she gives you more shit, like memberships, merch, tickets, and you have to complete monthly challenges to get them.
Okay.
So it's just too exhausting. I do enough things. That's why I'm calling it that. It's just like, I don't need one more thing to do. But I know that there are people that are into this.
So have at it.
Yeah, get into it. Do your thing. That's awesome.
And Robin was also on CNBC this week.
She sure was.
Talking about reinventing her brand, or herself, and building her Peloton brand.
Well, that she has done.
For sure. Jenn Sherman posted this week a clip of her first ever Peloton photo shoot.
I gotta say, I find it interesting that the week that they received their timelines, this got posted.
Yeah.
I think we might have sparked a little nostalgia. You're welcome, Jenn Sherman.
A little walk down memory lane.
You're welcome.
Yes.
But it is very cool to see this footage. I love it. I'm so glad it's out there somewhere still.
For sure.
Yeah. Saw Tom Cortese did the same thing. So we got people pulling out footage everywhere.
Coming up next, we're going to talk to Angelo from MetPro. If you work out, and since you listen to this podcast, I can't imagine you don't. It would be weird if you didn't. Yeah. But you've probably wondered, how should you eat if you're going to eat after a workout? Well, he's going to help walk you through that, so stick around.
The
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube is Angelo from MetPro, here to answer all of your fitness and nutrition questions. Hello.
Hi.
Hey guys, thanks for having me back.
Oh, we're so glad you're here. Karen Diodanto needs your help. She says she has no understanding of how to eat after a workout. She gave an example that the day before she ran 11 miles. She said, "Do I now use this as an excuse to eat a lot, or do I eat normally? I have no clue."
I'm pretty sure I know what Angelo's going to say here.
You are correct, Tom. What's the answer?
Say it, Tom.
It depends.
It depends.
I would like to take you now. This is what goes on in my head.
Oh, geez.
Flashback in time to Angelo's wedding. Angelo, do you take this woman as your lawfully wedded wife? It depends.
I'd have been a dead man.
I was like, I don't think Ashley would stand for that at all.
There's a lot of factors at play here. And more often than not, sure.
So what's really helpful, so what I want to invite our listeners to do is when you have a question, give some superfluous detail. Even if it's, you don't feel like it's just, don't write an essay, but just a small, couple sentence background. So here's what I always want to know. So if I met you the first time, we're on the phone, we're doing a consultation together, you're going to have a question. Here's what I need to know. I need to know, what are your goals? What have you been doing? In other words, okay, are you exercising? How many days a week, and roughly what kind of exercise, what duration? I don't need to know how many sets were upright rows versus bicep curls. We don't need to go there, that level of nuance. Just, 11 miles, that's great. How often are you doing that? How many days a week are you training? And then is your goal, are you trying to improve performance? Are you trying to improve body composition? Are you doing a hybrid of both? And if it is a hybrid, what is your priority in that? Because those are all the things that are going to influence the correct answer. The problem in the industry today is that there is a ton of great information floating around there. You get all these gurus and none of them agree. One says do this and the other one says do that. It's not that one is right and one is wrong. Typically, it's that it depends on your circumstance, what you're trying to accomplish. So in your case, Karen, what you want to do is, if it's a purely performance, it's purely a performance equation, you want to fuel more. You want to give your body everything it needs to optimally recover, and then a little, not a lot, a little above that. That is what is going to put you in the best position for your body to have all the resources it needs to replenish from the activity that you've just done, recover and repair connective tissue, muscle tissue, and micro trauma, and get you into an anabolic hormonal state which favors repair and faster recovery time so you can get back out and run again. Now, there is the huge caveat to that, and that is the degree to which you apply that is going to be heavily influenced by, well, I also have a propensity to put on weight and I'm trying to actually decrease my body weight. And so now we want to mix and match and manage that. So in that case, the answer is always still recovery enough, adding enough fuel to where you can recover adequately. But if once you're recovering adequately, if your goal is fat loss, reduced body weight, then of course you want to give your body just what it needs, recognizing that the point of calorie depletion, glycogen depletion, is to put you into a deficit, which requires your body to tap reserves, which is by default never as efficient. It's never going to be optimized for performance. And that's what people have to balance between. The confusion comes from in the industry you get individuals very passionate about one strategy with food or exercise. And so they tend to sometimes make it sound as if this works for all scenarios. It doesn't matter. This is the best way to eat, no matter what your goal is. And that's simply not true. That might be true for that person, but if you actually work over large amounts of people and evaluate data sets, you will find that is very not true. In fact, just the opposite is going to be the case. Each person is going to flourish under a highly unique set of parameters nutritionally and with their training. Of course, that's the nerdy stuff that we geek out on all the time. But Karen probably just wants a simple answer, doesn't she, guys?
I'm thinking probably.
It depends. I found that how people eat is a lot like religion. Like, people find the thing that works for them, and then they're like, everything else is a lie. You have to do the thing I'm doing.
So what I prioritize. So as far as a hierarchy, I know this may surprise you, but I actually will ask my clients before asking for a post-workout recovery meal. I will ask them, are you getting at least 3 meals a day? If you're not getting a consistent breakfast, lunch, dinner, we don't even need to talk about adding post-work. You need to start there just because that's critical for your recovery. Really, I like to see a minimum of 4 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and at least 1 snack. If you're already getting all of that, then start adding post-workout recovery. Otherwise, you're just missing meals that should be coming anyway. You should have had that breakfast before you went out on your training run, or you should have lunch right after you get back from it. So get your base meal plan in place. Once that's in place, then start looking to add post-workout recovery meals. And it can be something simple. You can do a protein shake that has carbohydrates in it. You just want something that doesn't have a high fat or fiber content in it post-workout.
Okay.
An answer.
It was an answer. That was very direct.
And also, superfluous information helps me make jokes about you.
That is true.
An even better reason to include it. So if people would like this sort of stuff tailor-made for themselves and their fitness journeys, where can they find you?
metpro.co/TCO.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Other connected fitness.
So Amazon came out with Halo a while back.
Yeah.
Which is not ice cream. Mm-mm. And it was their, I guess, kind of Fitbit killer, kind of trying to do what Whoop does, right?
Yeah, they were trying to do what Whoop does. They were trying to measure a bunch of things by you having a wearable. And like, you were supposed to be able to see like how your body changed over time and how your stress was changing over time. Like, in theory, you could speak and it would pick up on the stress level in your voice and then like be like, dude, calm down, calm down, which would be a problem because it would always be yelling at me if I had one.
And then you would be less calm and it would tell you to calm down even more and just a vicious
We would
cycle.
end up getting divorced.
Yes.
It would be a whole thing.
Why were you going to marry your Halo device? But anyway, you would now be a widow because Halo is dead.
Yeah, they killed it off. Not that this is shocking at all. And
It's a little shocking in that for years I feel like Amazon would just hold on to things and not let them go.
No, that's true.
You know?
That's true. It's just not shocking it didn't work
For
because
sure.
people really did not like this thing. Like, I don't know anybody that had one. Well, one person commented they liked theirs but liked Apple Watch better. Besides that, I have never seen anybody say anything positive about this thing.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So that has to be a lot of high fives going around the Whoop offices that day.
Well, based on the posts that they have made, I would say that is true. Basically, they were kind of like, yeah, we told you not to steal our shit.
Yeah.
And
not as easy as we make it look.
Right. And you know, Whoop, to their credit, has always been focused on one thing, and that is making a wearable, not a watch, Not anything, not a tracker.
Right.
They've been focused on having a wearable that gives you functional data. And they have come up with some really cool stuff, especially this year, that has really blown me out of the water, like blown me away and blown competitors out of the water. So, yeah, I think they are, high-fiving each other. I had gotten very close to the point where I was just like, okay, I'm just going to use my Apple Watch. But Whoop just keeps up in the game and keeps convincing me to stick around. Their newest one with the string thing is just freaking awesome. But getting back to Amazon and Halo, they ended it. They are giving people refunds. And sadly, the sad part is they laid off like 3,000 people.
Ooh, that sucks.
Yeah, that really sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In case you missed it.
So the Peloton Studios account posted their This Week at Peloton weekly post.
Yeah, we've got new mobility classes. We have the Star Wars classes. And I had a bunch of other stuff listed here, so it's all gone. There's going to be some kind of, I don't know what a Vasic recovery classes. There's also
I used frozen peas for mine.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Asian Pacific Heritage Month. Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. God, I cannot get that one right no matter what I do. Every year I jack it up. But those classes are getting ready to start. They haven't posted the schedule yet. By the time you hear this, they may have, though. But I'm excited to see those classes. We also have the Ryopi meditation that's going to be posting soon, or that did post. So
by the time you hear this, Samuel's Star Wars class will have taken place. But I guess he had some special info about his.
It's just a teaser. He's teasing something unique. I don't know that it'll really be unique. It's him with a lightsaber. I don't think it's going to be anything different than a class, but there might be the way Peloton does things. I could totally see them doing something cool with like the lighting and that kind of stuff. And you never know. Maybe there will be like somebody from the production company or something like that, showing up. Or
Yoda visits.
Yoda, like he'll have like a tiny Yoda. If they have the real baby Yoda in the studio with him, I'll be very...
For Mother's Day.
Yeah. That makes sense. Anyway, enjoy. I'm sure it'll be very cool.
So Marcel Maurer has a balance challenge coming up.
Well, he just did it in the video, babe.
Oh, I thought it was like a whole thing. It was just something he was doing in this video.
Yeah, he just posted it. I wanted to see if I could get you to do it.
Oh, hell no. I suck at this.
Which is why I wanted to see if you could do it.
So in the video, he's basically on one foot, bending over, putting on a shoe. And
sock.
And then tying it all while on one leg.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
And then he switches and does the other one.
Yeah.
With the other leg never touching. I think I could do it. I don't think you could. Wow. Coming in hot.
I mean, the tying it part is going to be rough.
I don't know. I think I could do it. We should see.
Well, I know I can't do it. So
all right,
there's no reason for me to attempt it. If you like the EDM, and really, who doesn't? I don't know. I don't
really care.
But there are people out there. Obviously, it's a very popular form of music, just not my jam. But if you like the EDM, Jess King has a class for you coming up. EDM EDU, where I guess they're using all EDM music, and DJ John Michael, I'm sure, is helping out.
Yeah, cool. I got nothing.
You love the EDM?
I don't like anything about this ad. I don't like anything about this. It's just not my thing. I am not the demo.
No. But that's okay.
It is.
Peloton birthdays.
But here's something you do like.
Susie Chan's birthday.
Susie Chan. Her birthday is coming up on May 10th.
Happy birthday, Susie Chan.
Don't forget to wish Susie Chan a happy birthday. And coming up after this, we're going to have our long-lost interview with the ever-patient Dr. Mark Shapiro. So stick around.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Mark Shapiro. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. How are you both?
We just brought you on so I could ask you, I got this thing.
You wouldn't be the first. And for the however long we're recording, I'd prefer it if you called me Dr. Shapiro.
Duly noted. I will put that in my show notes here, Mark.
Oh my gosh. Well played, sir. Nicely done. Oh my God.
Sometimes when we travel, I will put in the hotel when they ask for a name. I'll put doctor, just because they'll give you a better room sometimes.
Yeah.
They will?
Yeah.
So, you should
I
do
should
it.
totally try that.
You should try it.
You should.
Because I end up in the room by the elevator and it's dinging, and I'm like, oh God, I went to medical school for this.
It's so awkward though, because then they'll be like, Dr. O'Keefe. And I'm just like,
Or worse yet, Dr. O'Keefe, can you look at this thing?
I can't help you. I'm a gynecologist.
Moving on.
See, I got it all planned out. Like I know how to duck and weave.
I'm here for the ride.
Yeah.
Y'all. Wow. When you all DM'd me to say you want to come on this Peloton podcast, I was like, yeah, sure. Whew, whenever you're ready to get to Peloton.
I've been trying, sadly. Once Tom gets going, it's hard to get back on track.
My gosh.
So how did you originally find Peloton, Dr. Shapiro?
So Dr. Shapiro is my grandpa and Dr. Shapiro is my dad. I'm a third generation physician, and I'm marked for sure.
Okay.
I was totally joking when I said that. But yeah, it's funny. I remember when Peloton came out, like many do. And at the time I was really active on social media. I still am. I was firmly in that camp of this is so not for me. This is really expensive. This is really almost like elitist, detached, not where the people were. I still had a gym membership at the time. I had an old exercise bike that was fine. And I didn't kind of have a sense of what it could be. And I just didn't connect with it very much. But I remember seeing stuff around it and seeing kind of what was in the zeitgeist, and it was being poked fun at, and it was a very easy target. That was my introduction to it for sure.
Okay. All right. Well,
And ultimately, when back in the day, when you heard that initial price point, it was kind of like, whoa, but she got it fairly early in, like 2015.
I got it in 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't have even remembered it was 2016 when they started coming out. That's how sort of detached I am. I remember like when I started with mine, but it was that long ago. Wow.
Yeah. And that's just when I got mine. July 15th, 2016, if you're wondering. That's my Peloversary.
Okay, so my wedding anniversary is September 8th, 26th. Oh, no. I got confused. My son was born in 2016. I got married in 2007. I'm all apart right now, you guys. Can we start over? Okay.
We will cut that out for a fee.
That's what I usually say to people when they say, can you look at that?
Well, the next thing is, or we will send it to your wife. I don't think you say that. But back to Peloton.
No, he's gonna.
Yeah, it's a good business model. So,
oh my gosh!
But it's a value proposition, right? Like when you actually sit down and figure out like what it costs you to do a spin class, and then also just the BS of setting one up. Like all of a sudden, that sticker price is a lot more manageable.
For sure.
It is. And I think that, for me, my kind of pathway into this thing that I'm now really passionate about, and I do interact with pretty much every day, talk about with friends every day, have built friendships and collaborations all around the country through this sort of shared platform. And, I'm very active on Twitter, and our community there's hashtag Peloton Med Twitter, of which there are many, many, many hundreds of people that are engaging on it. It really started around the pandemic, around when COVID-19 hit, because like many others, I wasn't going to go to the gym. And, like those in my community, healthcare professionals were now doing some very, very stressful things on top of what was already a very challenging job. I'm a hospital-based physician, so all of my work with patients is done in the hospital. I need a physical outlet of exercise and some routine and things that feel aspirational. I love being coached. I like doing things with other people. And there was this sense of, wait a minute, that is all gone. And in parallel, my professional work is really, really difficult right now. And I think if you were to have 10 nurses, physicians, respiratory therapists, healthcare professionals of any sort and say, what was it like in Q1 of 2020? You'd hear a pretty similar narrative.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
And I remember having a conversation with my wife and my parents, and we're like, okay, as a family, like, how are we going to navigate this? And all of them were like, Mark, for your self-care, you have to exercise. You can't go to the gym. Just go for it. You're not going to be paying a gym membership. Just do it. Just get the new bike it was also, I think, at a change where the bike price had gone down. Just get it. Just do it. And I did. And we're off.
Okay. So when did you end up officially getting the bike?
April 2020. I don't remember the exact date, but it was the first part of the month because I remember I did a birthday ride on April 28th of 2020.
So you pulled the trigger quick because...
Oh, no, it was really like, it was part of the, how are we going to navigate this, right? We're not doing school. I'm seeing COVID patients in the hospital. This is right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Mom and dad, are you okay? My sister and her family, are you guys okay? All right, cool. How are we taking care of each other? And part of that kind of family conversation for all of us too was, how are we going to take care of each other? Mark, this is going to be rough. You have to take care of yourself. Part of that is going to be for your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Some exercise. Let's get this tool.
God, your family sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And it was really good.
And you lucked out because it's only probably a few weeks after that all of a sudden it's taken months to get a Peloton.
Yeah.
So I was right inside that window. I got mine within 2 or 3 weeks of placing the order. And I remember the people who delivered it were like, we're going to put this on your
dumping
porch.
Dumping it on your front porch. Yeah.
And we're off. You're going to figure it out. Like, that's fine.
Yeah. They were using Instacart to deliver them.
No.
I was going to believe you. No. Crystal, if you hadn't laughed, I'd have said, oh, okay, sure.
That's my cue to let you know that was bull.
Yes, don't. You shouldn't believe me.
Take a healthy dose of skepticism with whatever Tom says.
Yeah,
you can tell his serious voice, like, but if he starts, saying something like,
don't give away my
PR voice.
Give away my tells.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious.
So
but yeah, that was the introduction for sure. My first ride was with Alex Toussaint, and I remember it was a Club Bangers ride. What is this? Loved it. I mean, just loved it. And then just started ripping through all the coaches, all the instructors, all bike. Like a complete Luddite, I wasn't doing anything but riding, and I paid the price for that down the road. Because I wasn't stretching. I was just like, yeah, let's go. PR everything. Let's go hitting hills. Woohoo.
So you went hard in every class.
I mean, look, yeah. Yeah, I am who I am. Okay. My wife will tell you. She'd be like, are you okay? I'm fine. I loved it. And just I rode with every coach a bunch of times. Kind of, they're authentic, but they all have their own kind of shtick. They've got their kind of rhythms and the way they like to run their classes. So I found the ones that I felt like really resonated with me, and I just tore into it. Absolutely tore into it.
Who are the instructors that resonate with you?
Right out of the gate was Alex Toussaint, Emma Lovewell, and Dennis Morton.
Oh,
and then
interesting trio.
And I just sort of was, but again, those first few months, there's a lot of instructors, and there was already a huge archive. So I'm digging through everything. Kendall Toole had some metal rides in the archive, and I just threw down on those. You want a PR with me? Let's do a metal ride, and we're going to get after it. Like, I'm going to do one this afternoon. Woo! I'm fired up already. But that being said, at the same time, too, it was, I was very active on Twitter at that point. I have a decent sized profile, particularly within healthcare professionals who use Twitter. And that this conversation was starting to happen. Hey, how are we taking care of ourselves? We're all conversing around what are we seeing? The first cases are up in Washington. What are we seeing and learning from there? Okay, now we're seeing cases in New York. Now we're seeing cases everywhere. What strategies are working? How are you guys doing at home? Just really robust idea exchange. And a big part of it was, what are we doing for self-care? This is really scary. This is very stressful. I come home now and I'm taking off all my clothes in the garage. I'm dunking my shoes in bleach. I go in the home. No one touches me before I take a shower. These are the new rhythms of life. So in parallel, how are we taking care of ourselves? And a lot of people started saying, I'm using a Peloton. I'm buying a Peloton. I already have one, and I'm getting the dust off of my Peloton and getting into it. Now I start to see hashtag Peloton Med Twitter popping up, and that was two friends. who've actually been on my podcast that launched that, so, and really have helped manifest it and grow it. And there's just a whole bunch of people that are now like, hey, let's do some group rides together. We're going to do this ride at 6 a.m. We're going to do this. Hey, anyone doing some core work? Hey, I hit a milestone. It grew really, really quickly because we realized that while we're going through this sort of shared experience of fear, anxiety, learning, challenge, whatever adjective you want to use, we're also finding the shared experience of this is a really good way for us to take care of ourselves and build some community and have a little bit of fun amongst some pretty dark times.
And I would also think even when it's not a pandemic, it's a way to get some precious time back, right? Like you don't have to go to the gym to do things like that anymore. It's
a really good observation. I wonder, I mean, you would have more insight around this than I would, the two of you, based just on your sort of scope of your interviews and such. The moment of inertia around exercise is not trivial. And the walking to my office wearing whatever, grab the water bottle, or, oh, I forgot it, maybe I can just text my wife and she'll bring it to me, motif around exercise initiation is a lot better than where's my stuff, where's the park the car, what membership card. And I'm not criticizing that for sure.
Right.
But I found that for me, it worked really, really well. My excuse-o-meter dropped significantly. Just grab your shirt, dude. Just go. Yeah. Get after it for 10 minutes. It's better than nothing. I did, and I built that rhythm.
There are certainly people who love the kind of the ritual of going to the gym, and that has a lot of appeal for them. But I think that those people have something wrong with them. But,
they don't.
And I'm not a medical professional, but if I were, I would still be right. So, but some people really enjoy that, and they're largely in the BDSM community, and that's okay. But
there's nothing wrong with the BDSM community either.
No, there's not. I'm just saying some people like that stuff.
They're gonna be people coming for you. Do not at me. At
I don't
him.
know that I'd say coming.
Oh my God.
But I don't know that I should say but either.
Oh, Tom.
However, listen to the show. What? I looked at your followers. You have a lot of prominent names that are checking y'all out. Great. I can't wait for the comments on this.
However, I think,
dig yourself out of this one, pal. Keep going.
I don't
You're
care.
doing fine.
I don't care.
He's just going to let it go.
That's awesome.
He's at peace with
himself. This is what I bring to the equation. This is
oh my God.
It's my only skill.
Well, I was going to say before Tom's tirade or whatever that was,
I think tirade is apt. Yeah, I'm comfortable.
I felt the same way about the lack of excuses. I feel like I've never exercised regularly before I got the Peloton, and it completely changed my life. I mean, every aspect of our life has been touched because it all started with Peloton. And it's really crazy. I mean, this podcast, and then I ended up changing jobs, and now I work for, I help people lose weight and do nutrition, and I got my certified personal trainer and certificate and nutrition certificate, and all of these things, they all got set in motion because I actually got engaged enough to keep wanting to keep going. And I just think that's really cool.
It's a great thing. And then, it just sort of continues to grow. One of the things that then for me happened in terms of which instructors I enjoy and which classes I like. I'm cruising along, and I'm going to name drop a friend of mine, Mark Hertling, who he's on CNN a lot. He's a retired general, and he's an authority on the war in Ukraine. He's a friend of mine, and he had said to me, you have to do classes with Olivia Amato. And I should have known better. I should have known what was coming.
He punishes people for a living.
Yeah.
When Lieutenant General Hertling says, this is the person who you should be riding with.
He literally has hurt in his name.
Oh, I can't wait to send him this. He's the nicest guy. He's a wonderful person. He's a
so
good
is
pal.
Olivia.
And he was looking out for me. He was looking out for me when he said this. I have to be honest, though. There is something about seeing an Olivia Amato 30-minute Hidden Hills or 45-minute, Power Zone Max, where you're like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that ride. It's going to be rough. It's going to be an event, and I'm going to feel it. She's a very, very skilled instructor.
You know what they call her? Her nickname is, right?
No.
The tiny assassin.
Nailed it. 100%. That's a hard cosign for me for sure.
Now I get why a general likes him.
Exactly.
I like that they're all authentic in their own way. And one of the things that and I think a lot of them do, they own that this is not easy and that they're inviting you to do something hard and that they're inviting you to do it in your own way and just get there, just finish, just stay on the bike, just stay on the yoga mat, just hold on to the barbell. Because no one's actually watching, right? No one is checking your metrics. No one else actually cares except for that piece of just get that done because you'll get the benefit. Olivia does that, but she does that in that plane of what you're doing is exceptionally hard. I'm a professional athlete. This is hard for me too. And you're here with me. For me, that just feels really good.
That's nice. Yeah. That's nice. I mean, you just said a lot of things that the instructors say that get me all fired up and ready for a class. Like it keeps you going. It keeps you going. It becomes part of your everyday.
Right. If they crush you to the point where you're getting off the bike or, you're not feeling very good or, it's somehow you're feeling bad about yourself because of the narrative that no one would continue to use it. Right?
Yeah, it's funny. So many people who haven't used Peloton think that, the instructor yells at you. Yeah. And I'm just like, I guess that's a form of inspiration that works for some people because sports coaches have used it for so long. But yeah, like if they were really doing that, I don't think they'd be near as popular.
Agreed.
Do you think they seek out this sort of feedback? Like this conversation, right? You guys have a prominent Peloton adjacent entity here. What's your sense of their interest in that sort of athlete/customer feedback? Or do you think they're pretty dialed in, right? They've got their sponsorships, they've got their book deals, they're rolling. How do you think they navigate that?
Peloton or the instructors? Sorry.
My God, we almost said the exact same thing.
I would say the instructors more than Peloton. I get the sense that each instructor really takes ownership of their own space,
yes,
for lack of a better term.
That is accurate. And I think it just like you see on the bike, that differs among instructors, if I, not that I would ever do this, but if I sent the exact same message, like, oh, I really enjoyed your class to 25 different instructors, I would get 25 very different responses. And most of them would probably not respond to me just because it wouldn't
get inundated.
Well, exactly. They get so many messages from people, and it's kind of like you got to do something to pull them in. And so I think the people who are that say things that really stand out to them. To your point, there was a post from Emma Lovewell this week where she talked about. She said, "I want to show you guys my inbox," and it was like all of these people reaching out to her saying how amazing Peloton is, how amazing the platform is, what she has done specifically that has encouraged them, has kept them going. And the instructors literally get inundated with that. And I think that's the kind of message they respond to. And I think that's the feedback they respond to because, and I think it's different for everybody, like what exactly that is that's going to, like Emma might respond a little differently than Alex might respond a little differently from Robin. And Robin's like impossible to get a hold of. I'm just saying.
That's really interesting that they have become such lightning rods for the whole spectrum of the human experience. I would bet you $100 if you were to say back in 2016 when you signed your contract, did you think this was going to happen? They'd say, no, we're going to have some fun. We're going to, get some high five. I get that same sense that like people share very deeply personal things, difficult and successful, and give kind of attributions and credit to the experience that they're having on this exercise platform, which saying it out loud sounds a little surprising, but I think it's also a credit to what they've been able to put together. I mean, I feel that very much the same way.
Absolutely.
So homecoming, that is an interesting thing because it used to take place in person. You would go, if you were lucky enough to get tickets, you would fly to New York and you would have an entire 4-day weekend at the studio, and you would get to take a crap ton of classes, meet all the instructors, go to an amazing party.
The first year we did it, it was legit a cocktail party.
Yeah.
And the instructors just wandered around free range.
They were just standing around the room. I mean, that was the first time I had ever met any of the instructors, and I met all the instructors that night that worked there at the time.
Yeah.
And then the next year we went, and
do you guys know some of the instructors?
I mean, now I do. Yeah, I have like good relationships with some of them, but like it's like you have to talk to them all the time. Like for example, I'll give you an example. Maddie Magiacomo came on our podcast way back when Peloton used to give us interviews, and before the instructors were so sought after. And he came on the podcast, and we just all hit it off. And Tom and Maddie are like they're just meant for each other. And Maddie also came to St. Louis because when they opened the store here, he was one of the instructors that used to do visits at the store. So he came out to the store, and I got to meet him in person, and we all just hit it off. Like we talked like so much that night. We just hung out forever. And then like when I got to go back to homecoming, we already knew him. So when we see him again, he remembered us. And so there's a few instructors that we are lucky enough to have that relationship with. And some people have managed to get those relationships because they've just been part of Peloton since the beginning. Like people who've ridden with Jenn Sherman, they've literally ridden with her since 2012. And like,
so when their names pop up when she's scrolling, she's like, okay, cool.
Right.
This
like,
account is back.
It's like if you're a fan of a rock band who plays stadiums, but you started seeing them when they were in clubs, they remember the people from the clubs.
Yes.
That's a really good analogy. For me, I kind of come to know them as their celebrity self, and to conceptualize them as, again, like, right, they live their lives like anyone else. It's a trip because these are very prominent people with whom I spend a non-trivial amount of time.
For sure. I compare it a lot to the rise of the celebrity chef. Right.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Because, nobody became a chef thinking this is my road to fame.
Interesting. That's a good one.
And at some point that flipped, and it flipped because of Alice Cooper's manager, Shep. And he loved chefs and thought they should be famous and made it happen single-handedly. But
also, Tom knows everything about pop culture.
I'm weird. So
I've got one for you.
But what's that?
Guy Fieri's from my hometown.
Oh, how about that? Yeah,
that's neat.
Yeah, but there's a really good documentary about the Shep guy called Supermensch that if you ever wanted, he is fascinating. So, but anyway, so I compare it to that. Like nobody became a fitness instructor thinking that it would make them famous. I mean, the number of famous fitness people you could count on one hand prior to that, right? I mean, you had like Richard Simmons and Jack LaLanne. You got to go back to the 50s,
Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda, but she was famous for other reasons.
True.
And so
Charles Atlas.
Yeah,
yes,
Charles
exactly.
Atlas. But yeah, like
I'll go toe to toe on pop culture.
Yeah, it's a finite number though, right? And so like now there is a path, but honestly, at the moment anyway, the only path is through Peloton.
It is. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would say people look how many iPhones there are, right? Tens of millions. Name an Apple instructor.
Yeah. You can't.
Well made.
You can't do it. Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah. But homecoming was always a blast. And then in 2020, obviously, they switched that over to virtual for obvious reasons. And it's remained virtual since then. I'm not exactly sure what they're doing this year. They haven't announced. They're saying they're going on the road, but nobody knows exactly what that means.
Okay.
So for all we know, they're going to have like an in-person component and an on-the-road component, or maybe they're going to just send all the instructors out on the road to different stores. I have no idea.
I hope they just all show up at your house, and that would be awesome.
That would be.
You guys will text me, and I'll come and join you.
Yeah, I will do that. I would first. You have to wake me up because I will have fainted if they all show up at my house.
And she will be upset that we didn't clean first.
Yeah, that is totally true. I mean, like, why didn't you tell me you were coming?
I feel like I could just go on mute and the two of you could riff and you could just kind of give me a guest credit and it would be just as good.
I want to talk to you about your podcast.
Yes.
Speaking of,
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yes.
All right, tell us about your podcast. So for the audience, tell them what it is.
For sure. So I host a podcast called Explore the Space Podcast. And I've been in clinical practice as what's called a hospitalist since 2006. And what a hospitalist is, I did my training in internal medicine and I specialized in the care of hospitalized adults. So I only take care of people who are in the hospital, who've been admitted to the hospital, and I take care of them while they're there. It's the fastest growing specialty in the history of American medicine. The vast majority of American hospitals utilize hospitalists to care for their patients who are admitted. And doing it for a while, and I kind of come to this place of there are some disconnects in our shared understanding of what we're trying to accomplish with respect to healthcare at the individual level, at the community level, and at the national level. And I've always enjoyed storytelling and public speaking. I was an early podcast adopter in terms of listening, and I realized that the technical barriers to start a show weren't as insurmountable as I thought. And so off we went. 2015, right around the time you guys were getting going with Peloton, is when I started podcasting. And what I found in creating a space where having conversations with really intelligent people on subjects that matter to a broad audience underneath the umbrella of healthcare, it gave me a really rich and fertile opportunity to just go in a lot of different directions. At the first, it was opportunities for learning on a variety of subjects, and my subject matter has been very eclectic over the years. And over the last couple of years, even before the pandemic, a lot more stuff honing in on gender equity, leadership subject matter, climate change related subject matter, advocacy, particularly for healthcare professionals, a lot of which is in the space of gun violence prevention, gun violence education and communication and risk reduction. And those sorts of conversations have been extraordinarily empowering for me, both as a physician to understand the platform that I have and the opportunities that I have to help us drive towards, what we all seek out, right? It's right there, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And at the same time, elevate voices that have been historically underrepresented, bring out topics that are of interest to a broad audience, and also at the end of the day, try to have some fun. And try to create space where people are listening to their podcast when they're working out or writing their, doing chores or commuting. A little bit of escapism, a conversation that people want to jump into. And it's been an extraordinary ride. We've done Peloton related podcasts, right, during the pandemic.
Hey, now that's our thing. We've had a lot of fun with that sort of subject matter. What resonates for people that a broad audience can connect to. And what I've also found too is it takes away that remove, right? Sometimes people can feel like their healthcare professionals are difficult to access / unapproachable and are also not seen as whole people. I'm a very busy, enthusiastic, and proud clinical physician, and I am a whole person. I laugh and I cry and I ride my Peloton and I tell jokes and I love Ted Lasso and I have a family and I enjoy my food and all. We're whole people too, and I think there's a demystification process that happens there. And I have to shout out, we created a whole other podcast called Med Lasso with explore the space around why the show is so resonant for healthcare professionals, and we're out of our minds because season 3 is coming.
I love Ted Lasso. It's so great.
It's the best.
It is.
Imagine if Ted Lasso wrote a Peloton.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean that's really it, and it's it's on all the usual podcast platforms. Episode 308 went up today. And it's I think similar to what you both are doing, right? There's a sense of purpose that comes with that, and there's a community that arises, and there's an opportunity to aspire to things that maybe 10 years ago we didn't even conceive of, and there's a real sense of satisfaction and joy there.
So you mentioned that you have such a huge variety of topics that you have on your podcast. Is there like a type that you get the most enjoyment out of?
That's a great question. I am usually asked what is my favorite episode.
Oh.
And I, like any proud parent, would say I love them all equally. But is there, boy, that's a good one. I think it depends on, I like it when a guest says things to me, because I don't script the show at all. It's all, it's like good improv. It goes where it wants to go. There's some themes that I want to get to, but if you say something tasty, I'm going to pick it up. If you say something cool, we're going to go there. I'm not going to say, well, that's interesting. And question 4 is, I like it when a bias that I have is shattered. I like it when a supposition that I have, I get some education around. And I have developed a sense of courage, I think. I don't want to give myself too much credit here, but I think I am more courageous in tackling subject matter that Mark Shapiro 10 years ago would have said, that's a no-fly for me as a whatever, as a physician, as a human being. Too scary, too much conflict, too much, somebody might not like me or someone might disagree with me. And I think that the places now where I can step into the tension with a guest and have some really interesting and thoughtful conversations on subject matter that is of import and has some weight, I think that's that for sure.
Oh, that's inspiring.
Yeah,
That's
I think the older you get, the less you care about whether or not people like you.
That's true.
You promise?
Yeah. Wait, am I older? Which one of us is older now? think I just got
I'm
insulted.
46, and
Yeah, okay, I'm
waiting.
older. I'm 52. So yeah,
I was like, I'm staying out of those.
yeah.
I'm a people pleaser, man. No, it's an interesting thing, right? And like even in the space of Peloton, right? It is a brand that, boy, does it take its slings and arrows
For sure.
And I think that when you have something that you enjoy and feel good about, you just kind of have to ride that roller coaster. And that's been a good opportunity for me, right? Being in the podcasting space and being on social media and having some cachet, and like same, I'm sure for you, right? People pitch you and they want to come on the Clip Out podcast and they want to do stuff with you both because of what you've created. It's a heady space, and it's important to remember, again, we're whole people at the end of the day, and navigate it thusly, because otherwise it can get really humbling really fast.
Wish I could joke around with my doctor like this. Yeah.
You don't want it to be me, because that means you're in the hospital. And that's no good.
I no more hospital visits.
not
for
again.
me.
I was gonna say for you.
I'm good.
Oh my gosh,
Thanks.
you have been through it. I mean, and the two of you too, I think it must be said, right? Respect to the both of you. It would have been we had booked this episode 6 weeks ago, something like that.
It
give or
would have
take.
been like 4 or 5 days after you got
Right.
hit, after she was hit by the car.
Yeah.
She got hit on a
It was-
Sunday.
it was that Thursday.
It was that Thursday, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the messages that you both sent me left the door open, like we could do this, but boy. And I'm glad that we all had the situational awareness to say, this is not that important. We can do this some other time. Both of you need to heal, right? I think it's really important. There's a great, again, learning lessons, right? There's a really prominent physician on social media, Dr. Glaucomflecken. He's an ophthalmologist. He's really well known on YouTube. He's really well known on Twitter. And his wife, Lady Glaucomflecken. And they're great. They're
That's
hilarious.
a fun name to say.
It really is.
It's this like eye residue. It's a real thing. You got to look them up. They're phenomenal. I've had him on Explore the Space, and they both just blown up. He suffered sudden cardiac death 2 years ago, and she resuscitated him. They've been very open and transparent about this. She just published an article and was sharing it on Twitter today around the experience of survivorship and the trauma that is associated both for the person who has suffered something, right? Crystal suffered something horrible and had to recover from it. And it must be said for you, Tom, too, like your wife got injured and you got a phone call like there's been an accident. The things that come out of that for you both as a couple, you both as individuals, and for us as a shared community, it would have been very clumsy for me to say, wow, I'm glad you're doing better. Yeah, let's record a podcast on like post-op day 4. That would not have been the right move in that situation.
It was
that
much
was a long way for me to
appreciated.
get to that. Shout out to the Glaucomfleckens. But that was sort of the space of like, we're not doing this today. We'll reconnect down the road.
I never like to cancel on somebody, and I really didn't want to, but I also really wanted to. So I was very grateful when you took us up on that.
Yes, it was very nice. And
Yes.
This would have been a weird interview if we hadn't.
yeah.
I would not have been as happy.
Yeah. I mean, this would have been lots of stops and starts.
She'd been holding her headphones like this the whole time.
I did because I did record afterwards, and I had to take it off my ear because my ear was all.
Like she was a club DJ.
Yeah.
She's over there.
I would have been asking the whole time, like, are you all right? Like, should we really be doing this?
Ignore the black eye. It's fine.
Yeah. It's like, are you sure this was because of a car? Do you need to speak in private?
If the podcast intro ever includes the words, don't worry about the black eye,
Yeah.
we should be rethinking our production schedule.
I did have to record a few times with a black eye.
Yeah.
But it like stayed forever. It stayed forever. Like it was like it just cleared up last week. Like I mean, it's and like
You should have the Glaucomfleckens on. He's an ophthalmologist. He'll break it all down for you.
and the goose egg is like still here.
Yeah, she's still got one.
It's been 5 weeks on Sunday and it's still there.
Wow.
So like
Wow.
yeah, like it we had to move on at some point.
Our public demands it of us.
That first week though, thank you for letting us take the pass.
Yes, very much. Yeah. And
You
honestly,
don't have to thank me.
she was so good about getting back to it. He was the only one that we ended up skipping that we
think that's
reshuffled.
true.
Like she got
That I
back to it
was?
pretty quick.
Yeah.
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 Well, then I'm in.
Now he's like,
I'm
you're
a
kind of
one
a
of
dick.
one.
He's like, what? It was just me? Oh, well, now I feel like maybe you just used that.
Okay, but the actual truth was it's because I had like the next week I had been planning on working on scheduling a bunch of people, and it all fell apart then, and I kind of just got way off track. So it still took some time.
And yet here we are, and this is awesome.
It is. And I want to make sure that we give you the opportunity to share your leaderboard name if anybody wants to follow you on the leaderboard. And if you would like to share
totally.
it.
Yeah. That's, I was going to say my Twitter handle, but on the Peloton leaderboard at Explore the Space, all one word.
Yay.
And the hashtags that I ride under, there's hashtag Peloton Med, hashtag Peloton Med Twitter, hashtag Med Lasso. And I think those are but my main one right now, like if you see my name and it pops up, it'll say hashtag Med Lasso. But we can all, because you look for like who's riding at the same time.
Yeah.
So we're always checking like who's here from Peloton Med, who's here from Peloton Med Twitter. It's really cool. It's really great. And there's always someone there. And then we'll do like the flyby. I don't know if we invented this term. Like there's nothing new under the sun. The flyby high five.
Where you don't go into the actual class, okay. So
So we didn't invent it. All right, I'll tell my buddy Ken. We didn't invent that.
You can let him think that you did. It's okay.
It could have started there. Maybe we stole it from you. Well, I didn't steal it from anybody. I don't use it.
I'm gonna bet that Ken and I just we're not that smart. We're not bad, but we're not that smart.
But hopefully you'll start using the feed, which is in the beta, and you'll be able to see like other classes that people took. You can high five them from there too, so you don't have to go into the class anymore. So
because that's actually really cool to know, because one of the best parts of Peloton Med Twitter is when people kind of shout out their wins. I'm about to do my 500th ride. Let's do it. And it'll be, I'm on Pacific Standard Time and they're going to do the 6 a.m. Eastern Time. Right? I'm not waking up at 3 a.m.
Don't like you that much.
Exactly. That's a really cool way for us to do that, because that is right now, I would say, there's two big things in the hashtag Peloton Med Twitter community. That's the big one. It's my birthday ride. It's we've got a big conference and we're going to do a conference, the fundraiser ride or whatever the case may be, or it's my 500th, workout. And then the other one is after we do rides, I love to do this. I will post a snapshot of the ride that I did, and I've just started doing it because I'm a narcissist, a selfie, all schwitzy and sweating and a mess. And like my favorite quote from the instructor.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's good.
It's really fun. And then some little thing from me about what I was feeling that day. And I'll put that on Twitter and on Instagram. And there's lots of other people that do that too. That's sort of the way we as a community keep in touch with what we're doing on Peloton. And it's really fun.
I love that. Yeah. We do a lot of selfies. There's a whole group on Facebook called Sweaty Selfie, as a matter of fact.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. How do I get to ride with you both? Like, let's do this. I want to ride.
Tom never rides. He refuses to touch the bike or any Peloton equipment.
Okay. Not what I was expecting.
You could tonal with him, but that's a whole nother thing. You could ride with me anytime. I haven't been riding as much. I've been running as much more because I'm trying to get my stamina back up for Big Sur.
You got yourself a challenge ahead. That's awesome.
I do. But I'm easy to find on the leaderboard. Clip out Crystal.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool.
And I would love that. We should definitely do that sometime. That would be a lot of fun.
That would be really, really fun.
And she can tell me all about it.
Yeah, he can at least walk by the screen.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah.
Maybe I'll make him hit the high five button.
When she's like really dropping the hammer on the Peloton equipment and, heart rate's up and going, do you ever like just walk in with a coffee and just sit down?
I don't like coffee.
Come on.
I'm weird.
I was going to ask you to be like one of my new besties, but now you don't like coffee.
I'm a soda guy. I drink a lot of soda. Drink a lot of soda.
Let's try this. When she's working out and really going hard, do you ever walk in with a soda and just like sit down? Hey, honey, how's it going?
Well, ours is in the all our exercise equipment is in the basement. So if I'm in the basement, it's because I'm going to use the tonal. But I do this is probably, I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast,
I don't know if you have.
But it will probably weird people out. When I work out, I drink soda.
Yeah.
Like I have a soda with me when I I use the tonal. So
he is technically drinking a soda.
Technically, I guess I am.
Yeah. He does make me mad when he's like done with his 20-minute workout and I'm like 2 hours in. I'm still
Well, that's
going.
because you're training for a marathon. You're doing
know.
these 2 and 3 hour runs.
I can still
and he
be.
gets his peak heart rate really fast because he banged down 2 Coca-Colas before he even got in there. So he's already.
and
at
I'm watching her
120.
jog. Let's
Stop.
I mean, I must be a really good podcast host. I came on another podcast and I got you to spill something that's really cool. Like I'd say you spilled some tea, but you spilled some soda.
I spilled some soda. Coke
Oh,
Zero,
That
if you
was
must
bad.
know.
That was
you
no
must
way.
know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Coke Zero?
Yeah.
Coke Zero.
Yeah, he
If you're
loves
going to
it.
drink a soda, just have a soda, man.
No,
Oh,
no,
no.
no, no,
Oh, no. Oh,
Do you want
wow.
Tom to weigh 400 pounds?
Yeah.
Because he would.
Oh, it's not like one soda.
I don't
No.
have a soda. I drink, like, it's not good. I drink way too much soda, but it's my one vice.
All right.
I don't drink. I don't smoke. I've almost completely cut out black tar heroin. So almost baby steps.
You and your adverbs, dude.
Specificity is
Yes,
humor. That's what
that's
I have
what-
been
I think we'll
told.
pick this one up next week on This Week in Soda.
Oh,
That should be our spin-off podcast.
I would love to be on that podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I drink a lot of soda. So I used to be much heavier and I switched to diet soda. My doctor, you'll like this story since you're a doctor, finally said something that got through to me because he'd been trying to get me to at least switch to diet soda for years. And he said, he asked how much soda I drank and I told him. And then once we picked him up off the floor, he was like, "You're drinking your recommended calories every day." And he's like, so baseline is soda, and then anything you eat just makes you fat. And
Isn't it fascinating though? And I will always enjoy and have deep respect for this part of what I get to do professionally is the art of finding the lever.
Yeah.
It's a different lever for everyone, and there's different access points to drive behavioral change for everyone. And it's so good that you understand what it was for you,
Yeah.
and that same lever might not work for someone else. And for this person who's your care provider to know, like, they're going to have to tinker a little bit.
Yes.
They're going to have to try a different lever with someone else, and whatever, like with exercise or whatever the behavioral change that we're looking for is, to understand what those levers are. And then for you, right, as the person hearing it, to kind of be vulnerable enough to take it on board and say, yeah, that's an opportunity for improvement. This is an opportunity for me to do something different and to do something that will help myself and others who are important to me. And it's just it's a fascinating part of all of our shared journey, I guess.
Yeah, I literally went back to work that
Sorry,
day.
that was like,
yeah,
That
no,
was deep.
lot.
That was
I
deep.
literally went back to work that day and was like, I'll have a diet instead of a regular. I worked at a concert club at the time, and so I had unfettered access to a soda gun and an auto fryer, and so it was not when you can make tater tots
Anytime you want.
anytime you want,
On
and you
demand.
don't got to clean the fryer because they've got kids for that. So I was like,
Man.
grabbed the soda gun. I was like, gonna hit the Diet Pepsi instead of the Pepsi.
I'm so proud of you.
So I think one of the themes of our conversation, really, if we think about it, has been around behavioral change and adaptation, right? You had the opportunity to decide Peloton was going to be a big part of your life. I sort of by necessity needed to find something, and we found a lever, and again, opportunities to change the things that we eat and put in our bodies for fuel, acknowledging that we can still enjoy them.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't enjoy it anymore. Regular soda tastes gross to me.
That's
now.
true. That is true. Now it's too sweet for him.
Yeah,
He doesn't like it.
Whenever they get me the wrong soda, I'm not like, I'm like, oh, that's gross.
Yeah,
I
he
don't like it.
literally he never complains about food, but if you bring him the wrong soda, he will taste it.
I think you guys need a second podcast called like This Week in Soda or something. I think you're primed for it. The soda journey.
The soda jerk.
Oh, there you go.
So-
It writes itself. It
Yeah.
writes itself.
Well, Bart, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us. I know doctors are very busy, even more so if they have podcasts. So we greatly appreciate that. And so before we let you go, remind everybody where the name of your show and where they can find all your things.
I appreciate that. The podcast is called Explore the Space Podcast. It's on all the usual podcast platforms. The website's www.explorethespaceshow.com. I'm on Twitter at ETS Show, Instagram at Explore the Space Show, and on the Peloton leaderboard at Explore the Space.
Wonderful.
Awesome. You know, I'm just realizing what we should have done.
What's that?
We since he's a doctor,
Yeah.
when we started this Zoom call, we should have left him in the waiting room for like 20 minutes.
Bravo. That's a first. And I liked it. I liked it very much. That was very well played. Respect.
In all seriousness,
I will share that and give you both full credit. That was very, very well played.
You can start
4
doing that
years of a lot of Zoom calls, and that's the first time I've gotten that one. I like it a lot. That's awesome.
Well, thank you.
and thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
The Clip Out.
Well, I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram and Twitter and the Clip Out. Wait, no, the Peloton leaderboard
There
at
you go.
Clip Out Crystal.
She's still tired from Big Sur.
Yeah.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And of course, don't forget, you can watch all of these on YouTube. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling
And running.
and rowing.